Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It is Michael from Hollowed Thrills back with another video. And today we are doing a little bit of a different video. We have a special guest joining us for this week's video. We have ConnerFL from the
Hello.
Boo Bros.
Wow, special guest. Is this my debut or have I been in a vlog on your channel?
I think this is your channel debut here on Hollowed
Wow.
Thrills. Yeah.
What's up?
So this is your channel debut, and I brought you on for a very special video. So as a lot of you already know, I have a ton of coaster trips planned for this year to get on a ton of different coasters. And Connor is another one of those coaster enthusiasts that is in the Boo Bros. So me and him are kind of like the two resident coaster enthusiasts for the Boo Bros. So I decided to bring him onto this channel so we could talk about our top 10 hype lists for our new coaster credits that we are going to get this year.
Yeah. I'm excited because I don't really get the opportunity to talk about coasters that much, like in depth. So this should be good. I've got my list right here. I made it today and I was just very enthusiastic about the whole idea.
All right. So I want to start off. Do you have a whole count of your coaster credits right now? Like at
Yeah, and
this very moment, what are you at?
it's pretty lackluster because here's what happened, right? I've always liked roller coasters, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
I was never like, I never like researched them, I guess you could say, until 2020. Something happened in 2020 where it just clicked for me and I got really into it. But as you know, that's probably like the worst year to get into anything related to travel. So the plan is now to start building it up, and this is the year that that's starting. So I'm sitting at a crispy 40, a crispy
Ooh.
40. Most of them are Florida. Um, I did go to Nickelodeon Universe at the Mall of America in Minnesota when I was younger, so there's a few from there. I went to Busch Gardens Williamsburg when I was a kid, and Griffin was the newest coaster, so it's been a while, but there's a few from there. But for the most part, other than that, it's like all the big Florida stuff. But but if everything works out this year, that should be like close to or actually doubled at the end of the year. So it's not too
Yes.
bad.
So right now, as many of the people who watch my channel would know, I am currently at 101 coaster credits. I
100
got
and wait, what was the 101st one?
it's
Because I know,
Superman's Ultimate Flight at Six Flags Great Adventure.
it opened. It
Yeah, because it
opened.
was open during Holiday in the Park.
Oh,
So I was
okay.
able to get it then just because it was closed the last couple times that I was there during the regular season.
There you go.
But I have 101 right now. Got a ton of places I'm going to this year, so that will definitely jump up. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your definition of what is a coaster credit. So, like, do you count kiddie coasters?
I count them, but that doesn't always mean that I'll do them. Because there is like an embarrassment factor there. I mean, some of them are less embarrassing than others. Like me and Adrian, shout out to Losh TV. Like we did Barnstormer at Magic Kingdom, and I was like, let's just get the credit because I didn't have it. But yeah, no, I count it. I count it. I count it. Do you count it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I to be honest, I go out of my way to go on a kiddie coaster. If they allow me to go on it without a child, I am on it.
It's better if someone's with you, then it's a little less weird. But I feel like if I was alone and I went to ride a kiddie coaster, I mean, if there's no one in line, then there's no one in line. But I don't know. Have you done? I mean, you've probably gone on a kiddie coaster alone by now,
Oh, by
right?
now, yeah. When I was
Yeah.
at King's Dominion last year, I went on the Woodstock Express by myself.
Eddie didn't
Uh,
come with you.
well, no, that Eddie had work that day, so he didn't actually
Oh,
come to King's Dominion with me.
okay. Oh, yeah, he did Busch Gardens with you.
Yeah, he did
That's right.
Grover's Alpine Express. Yeah, it forced him
I
to go on
didn't.
there.
I don't think it was called that at the time, but I don't think I did the kiddie coaster when I went to Williamsburg back in the day. So eventually I'm going to go back because I do want to get on Pantheon if I can, if I'm not too tall. But yeah, I'll do it then.
Now, there's two other questions that I have for you about what you consider a coaster credit. So, number one, do you consider clones a coaster credit? Like,
Oh yeah.
so Batman the Ride in the
Yep.
numerous Six Flags parks that is literally the exact same B&M invert. Is
Hmm.
that a separate coaster credit for each one?
For me, it is because it is physically two coasters. Physically. I mean, yeah, the layout's the same, but you could kind of get into some other things like, well, what about the setting? Like, I know it's for some people, it's whatever, but it is at its core physically two different coasters, with the same layout, but it's still two different ones. So I would
Yeah.
count it.
Yep. That's my exact thoughts on it. Now there is a bit of a question, which is the more, because those Batman clones do have slight variations between them, just ever so slightly, but they're most of the time they're exactly the same layout. But the one that has been brought up time and time again about clones is the, what are they called? The boomerang coasters.
Mm.
Now, boomerang coasters, there is little to no variation between any of them. They're just literally the exact same
It's
thing, just with a
Yeah,
different paint color.
and sometimes like different restraints. Like some of them have different restraints from what I
Yeah.
understand. I
I
haven't been on one, but
You've
I'm
never
about
been on
to.
a boomerang.
I'm about to because there's one at Carowinds, but yeah.
Wow. I have been on it at least a dozen boomerangs.
Dang. Yeah, they're popular at regional parks. Like everyone's got one.
Exactly, because it's a small layout and it's an easy
Yeah,
throw ride.
probably cheap to buy. So,
All right, so the last question though I have about coaster credits is dueling coasters. Is each side a credit, or is the entire coaster one credit?
it's kind of like there's different ones because you look at like West Coast Racers, that's technically a dueling coaster, but you actually do both sides like in the same go. So that's one credit. But I counted Dueling Dragons as two because it's two separate layouts. Those layouts are actually different. They were two different layouts. Um, I do have the original Gwazi credit though, and that I only counted as one, but I think it's because I only rode it once, and I don't know which side it was. But I think if you have to actually get off and get back on to do the other side, and it's a different layout, then I'd probably count it as two.
I'm on the side of it's one, no matter what.
Always
It's
one.
it's always one. It's
I
one
understand that.
coaster. It's not like it's two separate entrances. You're getting in the same entrance, and at the end you
Yeah,
decide which side you're going on.
yeah, that's true.
It's like
It's kind of a gray area. I
yeah.
think the biggest gray area for me, and I'll be interested to see what you think, is relocated coasters.
Ooh,
Relocated, because it is like, if like when you look at the clone argument, my argument was it's two physically different tracks. There's two of the tracks, but it's not that. But sometimes the coasters will change when they relocate. I know the giant boomerang that was at Six Flags New England, Goliath. I forget what it was called before that, but when it relocated, they changed the trains, and it totally changed the experience. So people count it as two, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I would do on that one because I've never had that problem, but I don't know. Like, what if you rode a coaster and then it got relocated to another park and the name changed, but that's it, and maybe the paint job, and then you rode it again? It's like, dang, I don't know.
yeah. There's one coaster that I know specifically that's like that just changed paint color and name, and that was in Vertigo, that moved from
Mm,
California Great America and went to Dorney Park and became Stinger.
yeah. See,
That
but
was a Vekoma suspended boomerang.
so if you had ridden it at CGA and then rode it again at Dorney Park,
I
is
would have
it
counted
two?
it as one.
Yeah, I would lean towards one on that, just because it is still the same ride, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's because the clones, it's the same layout, but it's not the same ride physically.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the same ride
Yeah.
physically.
Exactly.
So
I 100% think that those are just one credit. If it's just a location change and no alteration to the actual physical attraction, it's one.
Okay, yeah, that's probably what I would lean towards as well. But that was always the one that I was always like, huh. But like I said, I haven't had that problem yet, so I'll cross that bridge when I get to it.
Now, there's actually going back to what you said about train changes. There is one particular one that I personally, I have not encountered this, but I know of one in particular. There was a coaster at Cedar Point called Mantis. Mantis was a stand-up coaster,
And
and
then it
then
changed to a sit down.
it changed to a sit-down floorless when it became Rougarou. Is that two coasters? The track layout did not change at all. They just changed the trains from stand-up to floorless.
That's another tough one because I think, man, because if we go back to the Six Flags New England example, it was still an inverted boomerang with different trains, but it was still the same thing. The trains just changed a little bit, I guess, like the restraints or something. But I think Mantis and Rougarou going from a stand up to a sit down is such a drastically different ride experience that I'd probably call that too.
Exactly. Yeah, that was my exact thoughts. I'm like, that's such a drastic change. It's not like going from a floored sit down to a floorless. Like, that's not a big enough change for me. But like, going from standing to sitting down with nothing below your feet, that's completely
Yeah,
a big enough change for me to warrant.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So we're pretty close. We're pretty close. The only difference is the dueling one.
Yeah. All
But
right.
other than that, we're pretty close.
All right. So moving on, what parks are you attending this year?
So up first is going to be, so I've got 2 trips planned. One is 100% happening. It's literally, the trip starts in like 5 days from when we're recording this. And I'll be at the park a week from today. So that one's happening. It's locked in. The other one is going to be in the fall. I'm hoping it's going to happen. I think it's leaning towards happening. It's not 100%, but I still have it counted for this. And then I'm also considering Busch Gardens Tampa. I do live close enough. You know, I'm like an hour and a half away from Tampa. So it's not really a trip, but I haven't been to that park since SheiKra was the newest coaster. So it is new credits and a pretty fresh experience. So I considered that as well. So it's going to be Carowinds is the one that's, you know, in like a few days. And then the fall trip would be California, consisting of possibly Universal, possibly Magic Mountain, Knott's, and Disneyland / DCA. So I think that's it. I'm sure I'll go to SeaWorld eventually to do Icebreaker, but spoiler alert, it didn't make the list anyway. So
All right. So personally, I have one big trip and then one smaller trip. Big trip, as many of you know, is my Ohio trip, which consists of Kennywood, Cedar Point, and Kings Island. And then I also have a trip down to Carowinds. So some of these on our list may be similar, just because
yeah.
I'm 100% sure at least one of them is.
Yeah, there's no way that there's no way. Like, there's no way we don't have that.
So yeah, so I have on my list of places I'm going this year, I got Kings Island, Cedar Point, Kennywood, Kings Dominion, because I'm gonna try to go there and get some Billy. Dorney Park, which there's nothing new there, but I'm going there anyways. So Carowinds, Busch Gardens Tampa, and maybe Knott's Berry Farm. It's kind of up in the air right now whether I'm gonna go there for haunt season, but we'll see. I really want to go back out there because I loved when I went there for the food tasting event last year. So maybe I'll go out there for the actual park being open.
Is Knott's being considered for your list then?
Knott's is not considered for my list just because of how uncertain I am that I'm gonna be going there.
Yeah. So like between Knott's and Magic Mountain, plus you have Cedar Point and Kings Island, these lists should be quite different, I think.
Yeah.
So that should be good.
So out of all the parks that you're going to this year, how many new coaster credits are you looking at?
Man, I should have counted before we got on. But I think Busch Gardens Tampa is 4 new credits for me. SeaWorld would be 1, so we'll throw that in there. I might go, I'm sure I will at some point this year, go to Fun Spot Kissimmee to get the 2 that I don't have. So that would be 7. I think Magic Mountain's got like 20. So that's like 27. I'll probably get Express that day, to be honest. Universal, if I go there, that they have 2. So that would be 29. Disneyland / DCA. Yeah, Mummy and Hippogriff.
Oh, I didn't even know they had Hippogriff.
Yeah. Disneyland / DCA. How many are there? Probably like 8 or 9, 7, somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And then Knott's probably has like 10-ish. I know Montezuma's Revenge will be closed.
Yeah.
So probably around, ballparking it here, probably around like 40 to 45, which would double. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good for 1 year.
Yeah.
Between all of the parks that I'm going to this year, whether they be that I've already been to them and there's just a couple stragglers that I haven't been on, Kings Island I think has like 18 or 16, something like that.
Somewhere around there.
Cedar Point has like 18.
Mhm.
Kennywood has like 6. Kennywood's a very small park.
It is, but it packs a punch.
Oh yeah, I mean it has 2 good coasters there.
Let's give some respect to Skyrocket. I think Skyrocket looks pretty fun, you know.
There's a couple there's how many at Carowinds? Like 15, 16?
I think it's 13 or 14.
But so in total, I'm looking at like 55 credits, new
Solid.
credits this year. So
this is just the start for us too, because I mean, this is like the year where I'm finally like, okay, time to stop talking about it. Let's get some, and hopefully every year from now on will be the same case. So I probably won't exactly catch Michael as long as you keep going as well.
Yeah,
but I will hit that 100 mark. That's what I want to hit, is that 100 mark.
next year's looking like a Texas trip for me.
Oh yeah, I'd like to do San Antonio at some point. Specifically.
Going
next
to
year,
Six Flags over Texas, Six Flags Fiesta Texas, SeaWorld San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, I can't like commit to anything hard. I'm probably looking at over Georgia next year. I would like to do like a little over Georgia / Netherworld trip.
Maybe go to Fun Spot.
Yeah,
Air Force One.
That too. Yep, get that RMC, which is still probably the most random RMC location of all time. I don't think anything's topping that. And then probably something else in the spring. I'm thinking about doing the King's Dominion / Busch Gardens Williamsburg. That's an idea.
Hershey Park.
Yeah, that's another idea. Like the Hershey / all of the crazy ones up in Pennsylvania is just loaded. So
Hershey, Dorney, Knoebels.
Yeah, and you're within distance of Six Flags, of course.
Yep.
Gotta get on El Toro before I die. But yeah.
All right, so let's head into our lists now that we've covered everything. We've covered what we consider coaster credits. We covered what we have, what we're getting. So let's head into our lists. I'll start you off with number 10. So what do you got at your number 10 spot?
So this was actually the trickiest one for me, because I had a pretty good idea of what was going to go in my top 10. I had like 11 coasters that I really wanted to put in. But the one I went with at number 10 is going to be a Magic Mountain, and that's Full Throttle. Originally, it was between this and the brand new Wonder Woman coaster, because I'd really like to ride a RMC single rail, but because it looks more similar to Jersey Devil than it does Wonder Woman and Fiesta Texas. That's why I ended up going with Full Throttle. If it was the other way around, I probably would have gone with Wonder Woman. Full Throttle, it's a cool coaster with some pretty unique elements. Got some launches. I enjoy launches. There are several launch coasters on here. I enjoy a good launch. There's like a really huge hang time loop, which looks pretty cool. And then later on the ride, you like go on top of the loop. So it's a very weird coaster, very unique, weird layout. And I think that alone just kind of makes it interesting because it'll probably be different from anything else I've ridden. So I got that at number 10.
Yeah, definitely that loop and then going over top of it on a hill at the end. That would definitely pique my interest there for that one.
It does have a really poorly placed brake run, which I'm sure you know about.
Oh yes, it's at the very bottom of that hill over the loop.
You go like down a drop and it like breaks you, which is like really weird. But
yeah. So seeing that I had a very large list of coasters to choose from, I did give 2 honorable mentions before I got to number 10, just because I was like, these are 2 good coasters that I feel bad not including. So my 2 honorable mentions before I get to number 10 are Diamondback at Kings Island and Millennium Force at Cedar Point.
Okay, I'll give an honorable mention or 2 then. I'll say Wonder Woman because it was almost in the top 10, and I think West Coast Racers I'll also say because I don't have that in my top 10.
Yeah, so those 2 are both like there's enough of a draw for me to be like, oh, I could include it in there, but there's just so many good options and coasters that I have been wanting to go on for many years that I immediately was like, oh, these trump these other ones. I can't include those 2 in the list just because there's so many other coasters on this list that I'm 100% more excited to go on.
Yeah, it's tricky when you have both Kings Island and Cedar Point to consider. I mean, something's got to give, you know?
Yeah. But funny enough, heading to number 10 is not actually from either of those parks. Okay. Number 10 is Phantom's Revenge.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad that one made your list. I was a little worried that it wouldn't because of competition.
I needed it to make the list just because it's one that my dad praises like no tomorrow, because he's like he keeps saying that before he went on El Toro that was his favorite coaster.
Wow.
But I'm excited to go on it just to see what the hype is about it, and of course that long plummet right into the ravine is the highlight of that coaster.
Yeah, that's one of my bigger bucket list coasters because I prioritize like speed and airtime over everything else. And that coaster, the first half, it's all about speed. There's 2 drops, including the big one into the ravine. And then the second half of the ride is just ejector airtime. So sounds good to me.
Yeah. So that one's going to slot in at number 10. It could have been higher, but number 10 is where I decided to put it.
That's fair.
All right. So what you got for number 9?
So number 9, I actually have Copperhead Strike at Carowinds. So this one, again, it's something that I haven't experienced too much of, and that's hang time. That's really what this ride is built on, is hang time inversions. And it just seems really interesting and different. It probably would be higher if those launches looked a little more powerful. They do look quite weak. But aside from that, it looks like a really good layout and a lot of fun. I mean, it definitely doesn't have like the stats compared to some of the other stuff on this list. It just looks like a fun time. It's still pretty new, so I'm expecting it to be sleek and fun. It'll be my first JoJo roll. That's cool, I guess. But yeah, I've got Copperhead Strike at number 9.
So this is quite a surprise. At number 9, I have Copperhead Strike.
No way. What the heck? What?
Yeah, I have Copperhead Strike at Carowinds at number 9 because ever since I learned about Carowinds, I was like, there are 2 coasters there that I 100% need to go on. And Copperhead Strike was one of them. And I had to include it in this top 10. Just the multiple launches, like you said, the hang time on it is hang time inversions are the focal point of that ride. And then of course the JoJo roll. It's going to be my
Mm-hmm.
second JoJo roll, actually. The first being Hydra, the Revenge at Dorney Park, which does have a JoJo roll. It's hilarious the fact that it does, but
But this has a JoJo roll without shoulder restraints, I think.
oh yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think
It is.
Copperhead Strike has
I think
shoulder restraints.
Copperhead's lap restraint. Yeah.
I'm gonna Google it, but keep going.
Yeah, but yeah, Copperhead Strike at Carowinds is funny enough. Both are number 9s.
That's crazy. Out of all the coasters, yeah, okay, yeah, it's just lap restraints. So
There you go.
that'll make it a little bit more thrilling.
All right, so what do you got at number 8?
So my number 8, again, another launch coaster here. And this is one that you already have, but that's going to be Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens, Tampa. I've not been on this ride because I haven't been there since it opened, which is actually insane. This one, I'm not expecting big thrills, but it's a long ride. It's fun. It has that really unique element after the first launch. And it just like the feeling of like being a cheetah, I think it captures that really well. And I think the setting is really cool. So I do have some hype for that. I've kind of been wanting to ride this. Another reason this made the list is just because I've been wanting to ride it for a long time, and I've just never made it out to Busch Gardens. And now it's kind of feels like one of those moments where it's like, finally I have the chance to go do it. So I had to squeeze it in there somewhere at least.
So I absolutely love Cheetah Hunt. I'm super excited to be going back to Tampa, Busch Gardens, Tampa, to get another ride on it. Just because the first time I went on, I think I overhyped it for myself, so I was
Yeah.
kind of underwhelmed by it. But
Yeah, I'm trying not to do that, but
I'm really excited to go on it again, just because I'm like, maybe I misjudged it the first time, but I'm hoping to get a re-ride on it when I'm down there this week. Yeah.
yeah. Of course, you're coming down here when I'm leaving.
Yeah,
It's
so
unlucky.
unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so my number 8 is going to be the longest B&M invert in the world. It's going to be Banshee at Kings Island.
Yeah.
So this one, other than it being the longest B&M invert, right? Is it the longest?
Yeah, I think it's at least the tallest, and probably or is Alpengeist taller?
Hold up. Alpengeist is the tallest.
Okay.
Hold up.
I know Banshee, is probably one of the more unique B&M inverts. It has some inversions that are not as common.
Yes, Banshee is the world's longest inverted coaster.
Longest, okay.
Yep. So yeah, so I'm super excited to go on that just because I have been on the tallest B&M invert, so now I'll be able to go on the longest.
True.
And people hype this one up a lot, and there are a few inversions in it that are super intriguing, like the just random multi-heartline roll in the middle of the run.
Yeah, which sounds great.
So it's just gonna be like just through the air. It's gonna be great. But that one I'm super excited for, and that's why it's going to be at number 8 on my list.
So number 7, and I'm literally just now realizing that I did this, but it's another launch coaster. These have all been launch coasters so far, and then there's no launch coasters for the rest of the list. This was not intentional. It just happened this way. But my number 7 is Accelerator at Knott's. It is kind of a one-trick pony. There is a bit of a layout after the top hat, but from what I understand, this launch is powerful. And obviously this coaster was quite innovative for its time. It was the coaster that opened the doors for things like Top Thrill and King the Ka. I know it doesn't quite get up to 120. I think it's like 0 to 85, somewhere in that vicinity. But I have heard that the launch is super, super powerful. And, I've been on Velocicoaster's launch, and that's like 0 to 50, and then 50 to 70, I think, are the 2 launches on that. So those are good. I will do Copperhead Strike, of course, before I do Accelerator, but that's nowhere close. So this will be probably like far and away the craziest launch I've experienced to date. So I'll be very excited to feel that sensation for the first time at that level. So that's why I've got that one up pretty high.
Yeah, I will say I've been been a little bit faster than that.
You
You
have,
know,
you have,
just
yeah,
just a little bit
just a little bit.
on a
Yeah,
car, but you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
That is fair. I think
yeah,
if I had been on Ka or Top Thrill already, then this might be a little lower. But because I haven't, it's up a little higher.
yeah, if I were to include knots on my list, that probably would have been an honorable mention, just because of the fact that it's the one trick pony launch coaster that goes over a top hat, but it actually has a legitimate layout following the top hat, which is something unique.
Yeah, yeah.
So my number 7, surprisingly enough, Kennywood makes the list twice. Steel Curtain is my number 7. Let's be honest here. It is one, I think it is the most inversions on a coaster in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the only coasters that's themed entirely to an NFL team, I think.
As far as I know,
As
yeah.
far as I know, Steel Curtain is one of the only coasters themed to an NFL team.
Yeah.
If not the only. And I just find that the whole theming of it super interesting. The fact that it makes you feel like you are in a game.
I would be happier if it was a different team.
I mean, hey, they repainted Phantom's Revenge. It now looks like
they did,
the Ravens coaster,
which is actually hilarious because it's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, everyone has now renamed Phantom's Revenge the Ravens coaster.
Yeah, and I think that's great. Maybe a bit of an oversight on Kennywood's part, but I'll take it.
But yeah, so Steel Curtain, like a lot of the ones that are on my list are just ones that are either break records
Yeah.
or have the most of a certain category or something that I've been wanting to go on for a while, and this one checks the box of a record breaker.
It also has another interesting fact. It has the most inversions in the US. It also has the tallest inversion, like the inversion that's the highest up. I don't know if that's the US or the world, but I know it's one of the two. So that's kind of interesting. It also, and this is not an official record, but I think it's got to have like the world's slowest chain lift.
Oh God.
But that's just a guess.
Now, I really hope that it's open. It's looking good for this year, but it was closed for the entirety of last year due to just ongoing maintenance issues with it. So fingers crossed by the time I get out there, it's open for the season and will continue to be open for the season.
All right. So that's number 6 now we're on.
Yes, we're on number 6.
So my number 6, we're going to Magic Mountain, and that's going to be Tatsu. So this, obviously, by most accounts, is probably the best flying coaster. The setting for this is incredible. I mean, it's a flying coaster, and it really feels like you're flying because you're up so high. It looks super graceful. I really enjoy Manta at SeaWorld, and this is like Manta on steroids. The pretzel loop might kill me. If it does, that's fine. I'm fine with going that way. I love the pretzel loop on Manta. I think it's so sick. And this one is like 100 times bigger. So I'm just kind of envisioning it as like a coaster that I really like, but a lot better. So yeah, pretty much plain and simple. I like the idea of the graceful feeling of flight in that setting combined with one just off the wall crazy element. So Tatsu number 6.
Yeah, I love a good pretzel loop. I mean, between the two that I've been on of flying coasters that have pretzel loops, Manta is probably my favorite between the two. But because it's just such a good coaster, I love Manta.
Yeah, it has a great setting too with the water and everything.
I am a person who is gonna get a lot of hate, but I think Manta is the best coaster at that park. But
yeah,
I'm a big Mako hater.
Oh yeah,
I think Mako's overrated.
I can see why Diamondback didn't make your overall top 10 then.
Whoa, no, hold on. Now hold on. I just think that Mako is overrated. B&M hypers are great.
Oh, just Mako in
Just
particular.
Mako in particular is overrated because a lot of people who live in Florida think that it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it's not.
And then Velocicoaster opened, and we all changed our minds.
Absolutely, as they should have, because it is a massive improvement between the two. Moving on to my number 6, I have a coaster that is going to be the first of this type that I have going on, and that is going to be Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. This is a flying coaster, a winged coaster, rather, and I have actually never been on a winged coaster. I don't think there's any winged coasters other than that one in my general area. I think the next closest one would be
X-Flight maybe in Chicago.
Either that or was it Screaming Eagle at Dollywood?
Wild Eagle at Dollywood.
Yeah, Wild Eagle at Dollywood.
Yeah, but the one that I'm really excited to ride one day is Thunderbird, because it has a launch, which I think
Thunderbird
is quite interesting.
Holiday World.
Yeah.
Holiday World's on my list to
Gatekeeper.
get to.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
But yeah, Gatekeeper is definitely one that I'm excited for. That's why it's the number 6 spot. Like I said, first winged coaster that I'm going to be going on, and it just it welcomes you into the park, which I find really cool. And those near miss elements that they added with those little like keyholes that they have.
Yeah.
Those keyhole buildings is super interesting to me.
Yeah, those coasters are just built for those near miss moments. Like they work so well, presumably, visually at least on those. They just look like such fun, like graceful coasters.
Oh yeah.
So, number 5, right?
Yes, number 5.
So, my number 5 is we're staying in California, and we are going to Knott's for Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider, many consider to be one of the better wooden coasters in the country. I have heard only tales of just pure legend about the night rides, especially in the back row, and especially in the second half, where you just get violently thrown about, which sounds pretty fun. So I'm hoping to do Ghost Rider. I'm planning to do a day at Knott's, but I'm also planning to do Scary Farm. If there's one coaster that I gotta hit at night, it's probably Ghost Rider. Possibly Hang Time as well, because Hang Time does have a really cool lighting package, but Ghost Rider just looks like a phenomenal layout, and I just can't wait to see what all the hype's been about, especially in that second half. And I will have to get a back row ride because yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, and it's definitely the most hyped wooden coaster that I will be riding this year for sure.
Yeah, Ghost Rider.
Most hyped that's strictly wood.
Oh yeah. Ghost Rider is definitely one of those ones that if I get out there it's up there on the list.
Yeah.
But it's funny enough that you went wood for number 5, because for number 5 I am going for a wooden coaster.
Oh my god.
Once again,
what is this?
Another record breaker. The Beast, the longest wooden coaster in the world, has broken its record this year and extended its distance by 2 feet because they changed the initial drop and they tightened the helix. So I am going to be riding the Beast with its new track, and I'm super excited for that. And I have been wanting to ride the Beast I forgot to mention, it's at Kings Island, in case you didn't know. But the legend of the Beast is
so iconic.
It's so iconic. It's probably one of the most iconic wooden roller coasters, and it's gonna be interesting because it also has 2 lift hills. It's such a massive coaster that has 2 different lift hills, and I am a sucker for a wooden coaster that goes through the woods.
Yeah.
And that is the Beast. The Beast just takes you through a path of the woods, and it is such a nice scenery-based coaster.
Yep.
So that's why it's going to be at number 5 for me.
So speaking of coasters with 2 lift hills, my number 4 is going to be Twisted Colossus at Magic Mountain. It's like 2 RMC hybrids in one. One RMC hybrid is really good, but this is basically two, because as we talked about earlier with these dueling coasters, this is one where you get to do both circuits on one ride through, and there are just so many great elements. There are just so many, and it's an RMC hybrid. I'm really excited for it. It won't quite be my first RMC hybrid, but it'll probably be my second, I believe. So yeah, I'm really excited. Again, it's another ride that I've just heard nothing but good things about over the last couple of years. So yeah, Twisted Colossus at number 4.
Yeah, Twisted Colossus would definitely make this list because I love a good dueling racing coaster.
Yeah.
And RMCs are king right now. So
and it's
that
long,
one,
it's like
yes.
it's like 2 coasters in one. So you really, even if you wait a long time, you feel like it's worth it, because you
also
get a
swap
long
tracks
ride.
on that, don't you?
I don't know if there's like I guess there might have to be, but you do, like, you go up one lift hill, go through, I think the green side is first or something, and then you come back and you end up on the blue side and go up in it. That's just really cool.
Yeah.
All
right, so the next 4 for me were really hard, just because they're all unique in their own sense and they're all rated so highly. But number 4 for me, unfortunately, because of the other 3, it had to end up here, and that is going to be Maverick. Maverick at Cedar Point. This is a multi-launch coaster, but it's also like, it's a very interesting coaster. It has that like launched lift hill right out of the station is super interesting, and just all of the nice like tight turns, and then that super fast inversion, and then through the rock work. The entire coaster is super awesome. And then heading into that the barn for the second launch, it's just such a nice theming that they added there to allow it to be a little bit different than just a second launch in the middle of a coaster. That's it. But no, they took the time and added the theming, and that really makes me interested in this coaster. And it's been on my wanting to do list for a while.
I'm pretty sure that I know your top 4 now. Not the order, but I think I know what they are, just by process of elimination.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty.
But it makes sense. I mean, it can't be anything else, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Maverick would be really high on my list. I mean, as someone who currently has Velocicoaster as number 1, and I assume you do as well. This is similar to that in a lot of ways. It was a coaster that came out and it was like, look, you don't got to be the tallest coaster or the fastest coaster on the planet. You just got to have a good layout. And that's what Maverick has. So, okay. Speaking of layouts, number 3 is going to be X2 at Magic Mountain. This is one of the most insane looking things I've ever seen. It looks like a death trap. There's just, I mean, I don't even, it's so hard to even think about what to say, because it's like, you really can't compare this to anything. And that's a big reason why it's so high up, because when I ride X2, I'll come off thinking, okay, well, that's pretty much like nothing I've ever ridden and probably ever will ride. The way the seats move is crazy. The elements on this ride are just crazy. There's special effects with fire. It just looks awesome. It just looks awesome and super different and unique. I did go back and forth with this and Twisted Colossus over which would be 3 and which would be 4, but because X2 is just so off the walls different, I went ahead and put it at number 3.
Yeah, if Magic Mountain was on my list of parks to hit this year, this would have been a very, very interesting list, because X2 is definitely one of those coasters that you're just like, that's one of a kind. I mean,
it's like, what is that?
Yeah, like, what is that?
What am I looking at?
And the fact that you go up the lift hill backwards is super interesting.
And then when you drop, like the way your seats rotate and you're just like staring at the ground, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would probably that would it literally it's like a mixture of a really nice hyper coaster and an SNS free spin.
Yeah, and mixed with like a wing coaster in there somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm just
Like, what
like
the heck?
I'm like, oh, I just immediately like I kind of shudder thinking about it because I'm just like I probably would die.
Yeah, this is like one of those coasters. Most of the time when I'm boarding a coaster now, I'm not really like scared. I'm more excited. This one, I might be a little bit scared when that train's pulling out of the station because it's probably gonna feel like I'm gonna fly out at some point. I might feel like the ride is just gonna break at one point. Like, it's just crazy. It is nuts.
All right, heading on to my number 3. Now, these three could have been interchanged in any possible way,
Hmm.
and I'm looking at it now, and I'm just like, do I really want to keep it like this, or do I want to change it at the last second? But no, I'm gonna keep it like this, and my number 3 is going to be Steel Vengeance at
Whoa.
Cedar Point.
Okay. I would have assumed that'd be number one.
No, nope. Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point is going to be number 3. Um, I People say that this is their favorite coaster of all time. I'm excited to see if the talk matches. Personally, I've been on one other RMC hybrid coaster, that being Twisted Timbers, and I wasn't the biggest fan of that, just because it I feel like it was another one of those situations that I kind of overhyped it for myself. So I'm hoping that this isn't another case of that, but we'll see. And it was the tallest RMC
Not anymore.
hybrid. But I'm interested. That's why it's gonna be at number 3, just because of all of the hype that people put on it. So, and it being pretty much the focal point of that park.
This is true. So my number 2 is going to be Iron Gwazi, which we just kind of alluded to a little bit there. Iron Gwazi Busch Gardens Tampa will be my first RMC hybrid, and it's a monster. We've been waiting for this thing for so long, and it's finally here. This thing has some crazy elements, crazy drop. I'm just excited to finally get to ride one of these things, and I'm really excited about the fact that we have one here in Florida now, and it's not like it's in Miami or something where it's may as well be another state. It's so far away. It's so great. Florida's really leveling up between this and Velocicoaster. I can't wait to do Iron Gwazi, and I'm hoping to do it like this month, because basically me and again, shout out Adrian Losh TV, just trying to line up work schedules. We're hoping to go do it together. As soon as we can do that, I'm getting on this thing, and I can't wait. It's kind of funny that you're going to do this before me, which is kind of funny because, I live in the state, but yeah, I've got Iron Gwazi at 2.
So I'm pretty sure our 1 and 2s are flip-flopped.
Okay. Yeah,
Because at
probably.
number 2, I have Fury 325 for at Carowinds, and this is the tallest Giga Coaster in the world. It is the longest Giga Coaster in the world, correct?
Probably, yeah.
I think.
And probably fastest.
And this is one of those coasters that I am going to mark as I need a night ride on it.
Yeah.
I 100% need a night ride on it because of that area that goes under the bridge.
Yeah, like the little hexagons or whatever.
The little hexagons. I need to go and see that for myself.
Yeah.
Because I swear the videos of that don't do it justice, which is why I 100% need to ride it during the night.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be something that I've never been on. Like, it's not like a one-of-a-kind coaster. And the fact that it's going to be, I think it'll be my second Giga that I've been on. So I'm interested to see how it compares to Intimidator, because those are two drastically
Yeah,
different
very
coasters
different layouts.
and very different layouts.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number one it is Fury 325 or 325, wherever it's supposed to be, at Carowinds. This has probably been my biggest bucket list coaster since I became an enthusiast, because like I said at the beginning, I value speed and airtime and just big ass coasters, for lack of a better word, more than just about anything. Inversions and stuff are cool, but I like going really, really fast and flying out of my seat. And I don't think there's a better coaster for that. We've got the tallest lift, or the tallest drop off of a lift hill. We've got 95 miles per hour. We've got a long layout with good elements. I just feel like I'm going to fall in love with this thing. If there's any coaster in the country that's not an RMC hybrid that I think could maybe top Velocicoaster for me, it's this one. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying it could. It might. I think it's like a 50-50 shot. But I words cannot describe. It's going to be very tempting to go straight there as soon as I get into Carowinds. I'm going to resist, because the recommendation is to go to like Nighthawk and Vortex because they have worse capacity, get them out of the way. But man, I can't wait to be pulling into Carowinds and seeing Fury in the flesh. It's going to be awesome. So it's got to be number one. It had to be number one. As soon as I started making this list, I was like, all right, let's just put Fury at number one, and then we'll figure out everything else.
Yeah. And about the lift hill, that is actually also the tallest chain lift hill in the world.
Oh my gosh.
It is a chain lift. It's not a magnetic lift or a cable lift. It is a chain lift. So that's gonna be a slow boy.
Yeah, it's gonna be give you a lot of time to think about what's gonna happen.
And it's funny you say about Nighthawk as well, because that'll mean that after going on that'll mean that I have officially ridden the only two existing Flying Dutchman models.
Yeah, they are, and there might not even be two for that long. Yeah,
The only two existing Vekoma Flying Dutchman models being Nighthawk and the Batwing. I've ridden the Batwing, surprisingly, because people, for some reason, people say that it's a very hard credit to get because it's not always open all the time. But apparently, I just got lucky the day I went to Six Flags America. But I did wait like an hour and a half for that.
Oof.
Because capacity on that, like you said,
that's why I'm going to Nighthawk first.
Slow.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to that first. It's a good warm up. You don't want to, because like if you ride Fury first, it almost like makes everything else feel worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's probably a good idea to just, because then I can come off Nighthawk and be like, yeah, that was kind of cool. That was pretty good. Instead of being like, well, that was okay, but like Fury, so that might help it a little bit.
All right. So like I said, though, I was pretty sure that our 1 and 2s flip-flopped, and they absolutely did. My number one is going to be Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa. And it's funny because this is the one that I'm going to be going on the soonest. I will be going on there on Saturday. And that'll be the second RMC hybrid coaster that I have been on, but a very drastic difference between the first.
Yeah.
And it is the tallest RMC hybrid.
This is a big boy.
It is a big boy, and there is one inversion that I'm super excited for, and that is
the death roll.
The death roll, the Gwazi death roll.
Yes.
Because just like my love of the Mosasaurus roll on Velocicoaster, going at such a high rate of speed through that tight of an inversion, I also feel that I'm going to have the exact same feeling on the Gwazi roll. Because of going at such a rate of speed through such a tight inversion.
I've also heard of the I forget exactly what the inversion is, but it's like a station. It's like right by the station. I've heard that's a pretty crazy one. There's a couple moments on this ride that just look like it's just going to be unbelievable, to be honest. Like just throw you out of your seat type of moments.
Yeah, like I said though, my top three were just so hard to differentiate between the three of them, and I could have moved them all over the place if I wanted to, and it still would have been
Yeah.
like, yeah, that made sense for me.
Yeah. I just said like I put Fury at number 1 and then figured out the list. What actually happened was I put Fury at 1 and then I put Gwazi at 2 and then I figured out the rest of the list. But I always knew that those were going to be 1 and 2, like always.
Yeah.
There's no other option. Like it just had to be those two.
Yeah, here's the thing. I knew I wanted Maverick up high on my list, so I
Yeah.
waited to put it up there, and then I got to 4 and I was like, "Oh shit, I still have Fury, Steel Vengeance, and Gwazi." I'm sorry, Maverick, you're getting stuck at 4 because there's
Yeah,
no
it's
other
like what can you do?
there's no way
Like
you're going any higher than that.
yeah, Maverick looks amazing, but you can't really put it over any of those in terms of hype going in. Maybe you'll get off Maverick and be like, yeah, I'm definitely a stan now. And then you'll get off like, nah, I can't even really say you're gonna get off any of those and be like, that was underwhelming. I can't even say that. Like that's just how important these coasters are.
Yeah,
Like
but I am super excited for all of the coasters that I'm going to be going on this year. I mean, there's a few
me
that
too.
are
Me too, except for
definitely.
Vortex.
What's wrong with Vortex?
Pain.
Oh gosh, I'm excited for Carolina. Was it Carolina Cyclone?
Yeah, I think that would be nice. It just got a fresh coat of paint,
Especially because it
just like 900 other coasters this year.
yeah, but it also has that really nice. Is that the one that has the corkscrew over the path of the park?
I think so. Or well, Corkscrew at Cedar Point has that for sure. I don't know if I think Carolina Cyclone does it too.
Yeah.
But definitely it will have a corkscrew in it.
Oh yeah.
And then there's some other things at Carowinds. I'm kind of excited for that Boo Blasters ride. I think that could be cool. They also have a Plants vs Zombies attraction.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
heard that.
that
I heard
looks
that's
kinda
closing
sick.
soon. I heard
Oh,
that's
really?
closing soon, so I really hope that it stays open.
Hopefully, yeah. Just stay open for like a few more months.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks kind of cool. Another coaster I'd like to mention, I didn't put it on my list because it will be not a new credit, but Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa is phenomenal. A lot of people consider it the best invert or one of the best inverts. And like I said, I haven't been there in so long. It is my favorite coaster at that park for sure as of now, before riding Iron Gwazi. It's my favorite. So I'm really, really excited to get a re-ride on Montu. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, this year for me is going to be a big year of B&M inverts, at least out of the ones that
Yeah,
people say are the
the good
best.
one. Yeah, because a lot of times it's like Montu, Banshee, Afterburn.
Yeah,
I mean, those are the three I hear the most, I think, unless I'm forgetting one.
There's Montu, Banshee, Afterburn, Raptor.
Raptor's usually up there.
Alpengeist.
Yeah, Alpengeist is like a weird one. It's kind of polarizing.
I love Alpengeist.
Yeah, I do have the Alpengeist credit.
I am
a
huge Alpengeist stan.
Yeah, Alpengeist is cool.
Loved that coaster.
Yeah, it looks fun. I mean, I did it in like 2010 maybe 2010, and obviously things are a little different when you're 14, 13, but I came off that coaster really enjoying it. I enjoyed everything. I mean, there were only 4 coasters I did that day, but I enjoyed them all. Loch Ness, Alpengeist, Apollo, and Griffin were the ones.
Very polarizing opinion, though. Apollo's Chariot is my favorite B&M hyper.
That might change when you get on Diamondback. Just saying.
Well, actually, no. I lied. It's my second favorite. I forgot.
Nitro.
Love Nitro.
Yeah, Nitro.
It goes Nitro, Apollo's Chariot, Mako, Candemonium.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely polarizing there, but I feel like everyone's got their controversy. I don't really know mine. I don't know if I have enough credits to be controversial yet, but at the end of the year, get back to me and I might.
my top literally 25 is going to be drastically different between now and the end of the year.
Yeah, you're telling me, dude. There might be like 2 coasters that are in there right now that are still in there at the end, or at least like the top 10, because it's gonna change a lot.
Yeah.
It's gonna change a lot. I don't know if I really have anything that controversial. The only thing I can maybe think of is that I really love Mind Blower, and like because like people complain about like the jackhammering, and like it's rough, but when I rode it, I didn't come off thinking I was like overwhelmingly brutalized by that ride like a lot of people do.
No.
I think it's sick. I love Mind Blower.
Yeah, I don't remember being in any sort of real pain after that ride.
No, I mean, like, yeah, it's kind of rough, but it kind of adds to it in a way, because it's like I seriously had no idea what was going on that whole time. I was like, where are we going? Like, what's happening? I love that ride. So
Oh yeah,
it's definitely better than its Orlando counterpart in White Lightning. It's definitely better.
I mean,
I think
it's
a
hard
lot
to
of people would say that, but
it's hard to compare the two because Mind Blower has the inversion.
yeah, and it's very different. You know, Mind Blower is like a spaghetti bowl crazy layout, and White Lightning is more of an out and back. But I mean, White Lightning is a good ride, but I would take Mind Blower.
Yeah,
I would take Mind Blower.
All right. Well, I think it's about time we wrap this up. We talked about both of our coaster counts right now, our coaster counts of what we're possibly going to be at the end of the year, and our entire hype lists. Do you have anything else to add, Connor, before we close this out?
No, you know, I'm excited to see both of our lists grow, not just this year, but in the coming years. You know, it's a fun hobby. I'm excited to really actually have more of a respectable count at the end of this year, because I hate saying like, yeah, I'm an enthusiast, and people are like, how many coasters have you been on? I'm like, I don't really want to talk about it. But finally, it'll be a little more respectable. I'm tired of being an enthusiast from afar. We're getting into it this year, and we're going to keep it rolling after this year. So it's going to be an exciting.
Well, he just lost Connor right at the end there. So I will just wrap up the video there. If you guys did enjoy, please make sure that you drop a like down below, and also comment if you want to see more of this type of thing with me and Connor talking about coasters, or having me bring other people on to talk about coasters. I'd really love to hear you guys' opinions on what you think about me continuing sort of this podcast coaster layout that I have here. But as always, I'm Michael. This has been How Thrills, and I'll see you guys next time.